Hi, welcome to High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki. This is a place where we talk about all things tech, entrepreneurship, innovation, and manufacturing, and there's so many amazing things going on in Hawaii. We'd like to share them here with you. And my first guest for today is Iqbal Ashraf. He is the founder of Mentors Guild.
Hi.
Thanks so much for coming today.
Yeah, thank you.
So, what is Mentors Guild? Tell us a little bit about it and how you started it.
Yeah, so the way I kind of present it to potential investors and all that is it's a marketplace for consulting services. But the way people will understand it is we make it easy for businesses to access outside expertise whenever they need it, relevant outside expertise. Expertise in the way, not like every individual is an expert at something. It's not that way. But if you are a manufacturer and you need an expert in supply chain management, we'll connect you to one of the top guys in the country in that area. So that's what we do.
Wow, that's great. And how did you come up with the idea?
So it is kind of derived from my experiences in my previous jobs. Most recently with a local company here where I was doing accounting for other businesses, and it always felt like they never had enough expertise in-house. And that's true for any company, but especially in Hawaii, it feels like the in-house talent is not sufficient for what the business wants to do. And I just thought it would be cool if I could connect them to the talent which is outside, which is available for them to access on need basis.
Did they try to? I mean, from the company that you were at, did you look for somebody that could?
So in that job, I was just connecting them to experts and service providers like pro bono, because that was not the line of business I was in. But this I'm evolving as a for-profit business which provides that service.
Wow, that's great. Huh, interesting. And then who is your target customer?
So target customer can be a small business, or some of the business that we have gotten so far has been from larger businesses. They have different use cases. So a small business, now finds itself in a radically different kind of business environment. Till yesterday they were like competing with other small businesses in their neighborhood or geography. Like if you are a small retail store in Kailua, you'll compete with another small retail store in Kailua. But that's not true anymore. You are now competing with like Walmart and Amazon.com and somebody selling stuff on Alibaba.com.
That's true. That's true.
So the use case there is we know that they will never have enough employees to kind of compete with these heavyweights. So we provide them with a vast network of experts at a lower fee. And I'll get in a moment how we charge lower fee. And it's like on-demand kind of access. So these people are not trying to sell them something or upsell something. When the business needs a particular service or particular advice in an area, we connect them to the right person. For larger businesses, a slightly different use cases. Traditionally, they try to solve everything themselves. And when the need becomes bigger and bigger, they think of hiring somebody permanently. But as you know, if you ask a mid-sized business or a small business in Hawaii what their top problems are, one of the top three will be they don't have enough talent in-house, what they need. So the case that we make to them is we'll connect you to people who can work on projects on a shorter term basis to solve your business needs, solve for your business needs.
Oh, versus having them hire somebody full time.
That's right. Basically, versus having a permanent hire for the same thing.
Wow. And then how did you build this network? I know you have, how many mentors do you have in your network?
So we have, so when we started, we were just focusing on coaches because that's
business coaches.
Yeah, business coaches, and that's the need that I had felt, personally in my life. But then we expanded from there to involve like subject matter experts, domain experts, so like financial management, and then supply chain managers, people who help in mergers and acquisition.
Wow.
But now we are slowly moving into industries, and because there's so much happening in healthcare, we started with healthcare, and we have added people who
Smart.
are industry experts in healthcare.
But still on the business side.
Yeah, only business consultants. And so we have crossed 8,000 people who are in our expert network. All of that, more than 900 now are like full-time members who have started treating Mentors Guild as like a storefront for their business.
That's great.
Yeah. So
That's amazing.
they have their profile. They have like case studies with from their past.
So this is like their online presence.
They have their business website, but they put like case studies, their whatever media attention
That's
they
great.
get, and all that through that, and
Wow.
we try to drive engagements to them through our website.
Wow, that is awesome. So I know you're not from Hawaii. How did you end up in Hawaii, and where are you from?
So I'm originally from India. My undergrad was in chemical engineering, and then I did MBA in finance.
Wow.
And I was hired by GE, and at some point, they said if you want to
GE
grow.
in India?
Yeah, GE India. And at some point they said if you want to grow with the company, we have this position for you, but it is in Milwaukee. So that is what brought me to US.
Wow.
And
And you said, okay, sure.
Yeah, and so I did several different roles in operations, in finance,
That's great.
with different GE businesses. And then at some point, I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. So
Wow.
I left GE to start my first startup, which was in the space of knowledge management. And that did not work out. This was in 2008. So because of the economic condition, we had difficulty raising funding and all that. And at that time, I was like, if I'm going to run my own startup, then I don't need to be based in Milwaukee. So I moved to Hawaii at that time.
What? How did you choose Hawaii?
Well, it's just circumstances.
Yeah?
I had been to Hawaii. I really like this place. It's all small business here, and I find that very inspiring.
Ah,
So,
that's great.
yeah.
That's great. So being in Hawaii and starting your business, how did you find that benefited or challenged your business, or both? I'm sure it's done both.
Sure. So what I like about that is, there are so many small businesses here. So a lot of people can relate to your challenges and things like that. I also like, when you are working by yourself, it's a kind of less stress kind of place, as stress-free as it can be, in a startup.
That's true.
But I do feel the need to talk to other people who are working on similar tech startups, and then sometimes it's challenging. We are a 7-people company now, and I'm the only one based in Hawaii, so I've kind of tried to work around that.
That's
and
great.
I have developer from another place, somebody who blogs is in a different place, and we are a completely virtual team. And if that, if you can make that work, then it solves 80% of the problems.
Yeah, and then you can be wherever you want. And why not Hawaii?
Yeah, sure.
Wow. How do you manage your team from here?
So we have, so with developers, I have daily calls. They are based in India. I have a blogger in Milwaukee. And on need basis, at least weekly though, we have conversations
Okay, so
about
it's just
progress.
touching base every once in a while.
And it also means that I have a bigger burden of project management in addition to customer development as well. So there's a project management aspect which becomes more important when you are operating virtually.
Wow. How long have you been working on your project, and when did it, initially launch?
So it has been more than 2 years now.
Great.
Yeah. And yeah, it's so far so good. On the supply side, we are a marketplace. Supply side are all experienced veteran consultants, and there we are seeing continuous growth, no problems. We have figured that one out.
Oh, interesting.
So every week we add from 15 to 30 new member consultants.
Wow.
Our challenge now is on the buy side. We are looking for businesses to be early adopters of this concept because it's so kind of disruptive way of thinking.
It's very disruptive. It's different. Like, you don't think of going to a marketplace of business consultants.
Sure. So that's where our focus is now.
Oh, and so tell us about your product offerings. Like,
Yes. So we are what you will call a freemium, tech product. Free in the sense that there are a few things you can do for free on Mentors Guild. If you have a question which you cannot, ask your boss or your subordinates in a company, and you will spend, hours looking at different blogs for an answer. An example would be like a workplace conflict kind of situation, or how should I split my equity with my co-founders in a company? Things like that, which are more nuanced. You can do all your internet research, but there's so much like bad opinion on internet. What we allow people to do for free and anonymously is ask that question on Mentors Guild, and then I moderate those questions and I forward it to the relevant people who have expertise in that area, and you'll get a bunch of answers which are all high quality.
That's great.
So that's all free. Then initial consultations, you can have as many as you want, and they're all free.
Wow.
We require our consultants to offer 1 hour of free initial consultation.
Wow.
It's
That's
only
a great model.
it's only when you are convinced, like, here's the problem, this is the right person, the price is right, that you go into a long-term
So you
engagement.
can kind of shop around. I guess
Yeah,
that's
sure.
the whole point of the marketplace.
That's the whole point.
Oh,
Absolutely right.
that's great. We are going to take a quick break. We'll come right back.
Sure.
My guest today is Iqbal Ashraf, founder of Mentors Guild. This is High Growth with HTDC, and we're on ThinkTech Hawaii. We'll be right back.
Aloha, I'm Hunter Hevelin, host of Sustainable Hawaii here at ThinkTech Hawaii. You can tune in every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. to see interviews with sustainability professionals from around the state and even further abroad, learning about activities with water management, food security, waste management, and a whole host of other fascinating opportunities to get engaged with making a greener island. So if you're interested in making the transition from consuming individuals to communities of producers, check us out every Thursday.
Hi, welcome back to High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki. My guest today is Iqbal Ashraf, founder of Mentors Guild. Very exciting company, startup challenges, but I think you're doing really well. And we're talking about your product offerings. And one of them, you've told me before, is the Executive Roundtable, which I think is very cool. And it's not too much of a commitment, but it sounds like huge value.
Sure. So, when I had to explain to businesses, what we do, because we have experts from so many different areas, it was kind of difficult for me to articulate, what exactly we can do for them.
Because it's such a different business model, right?
That's right. And, if they say, can you solve my, financial projections, kind of? I said, yeah, we can do that. Can you solve a problem in succession planning? We can do that. So we thought of a product where it becomes easier for us to explain to them and also for them to kind of test drive for a very small amount of money. And Executive Roundtable is what we came up with. It's like a product. So when a company has a very important high stakes kind of decision to make, for instance, a business owner has to choose a successor, or when you are thinking of, like, you have outgrown QuickBooks and you want to implement a new ERP system. These are very important decisions in the life of a company. And typically they don't have in-house expertise to solve such problems. So what we do is we kind of understand their problem or that important decision that they have to make. And we understand their business culture, their stage of the company itself. And then I go back to database of 8,000 plus experts, and I try to find 1 or 2 people who have just the right skill set to help them kind of brainstorm new ideas. Then I come back to them and say, okay, here are the 2 people that I found. One is based in New York and one is in San Francisco or something. Do you feel like you want to talk to them? It will be a 1-hour call, and you can try new ideas. They will throw some new ideas at you, and kind of validate your own thoughts on the topic. That 1-hour call, unless they say, I want to talk to this person, we don't charge them anything. And then say, okay, we want to go ahead with the call with this person. Then they have to make the small payment. And we facilitate that conversation for 1 hour. And we have done like 4 or 5 of these now. And there's a whole bunch of new ideas. They test all the assumptions. And there are moments where the business owner goes like, I could not have thought of that myself, you know.
That's great.
So at the end of 1 hour, you know, we sent them a report that this is what we discussed. These are the actions which came out of this call. And by the way, if you want to, you know, engage this person, you know, further, we can facilitate that as well. But we restrict our consultants from doing any selling during the call. It's all about solving the problem. And by the way, if the business owner is not happy or the executive is not happy with the call, we refund the entire amount, because that is just to help, you know, them try our system.
That's great.
We are trying to build trust with the business community, and that's, you know, how. So that is the executive roundtable.
It's almost like your guarantee of value.
Sure.
That's great.
So our guarantee is, no matter what, you know, you will make a better decision after the call.
So that one, you do kind of all the groundwork for the consultant that you're bringing in.
Sure.
So he's got all the background already when he comes into the call.
That's
Is that
right.
how it works?
Yeah. So that is much more valuable than an initial consultation, because initial consultation, you know, consultant comes in and they're asking a whole bunch of questions like, how big is your company?
So still finding out.
Yeah, what
kind
is
of
the problem?
groundwork.
And they investigate that. So that might take, you know, 45 minutes of that 1 hour.
I
But
see.
we
So
have
you
done
actually
that.
get 15 minutes.
Sure. But we have already done that.
Yeah,
Plus,
upfront.
we feed all the, like, the internet research or whatever market research we can do earlier on to the consultant. So they can come in and
That's
talk
great.
intelligently and, you know, just start adding value from the first moment of the call, of the roundtable. And by the way, the business can have its entire executive team in bigger company on that call. So it becomes like a, you know, decision, a discussion format. And that's what we want.
Wow, that sounds really valuable. And so those calls that you've already done, have they been Hawaii companies?
Yeah, there have been a couple of Hawaii companies. So I would not like to go into details, because
No, you don't have to
I
go
haven't
into
take their I have to take the permission about, you know, confidentiality and all that. But in both situations, it was like a thing where company faces those decisions only like once in their lifetime, kind of thing, and it's a complicated decision. And if they make the wrong decision, they will suffer
It's
the
huge
consequences
impact.
for you know, next 10 years or something. So that.
Yeah, so it makes sense to bring somebody, like, especially from your pool of a huge. So, are you marketing everywhere? Like, is this going to be an international? Have you?
So we are, you know, we are still an early stage company. We are pre-market, in the sense that although we have recurring revenue, we haven't had like a long-term engagement yet, or we haven't had the same customer come to us like 10 times.
So you're working on the Hawaii market initially?
We are testing in Hawaii. Actually, you know, I want to talk to Chamber of Commerce tomorrow to figure out if there's a special offering that we can craft, which is super relevant to just the Hawaii businesses,
That would
you know,
be great. That
and
makes
what their
sense.
needs are. But this is like a national company. In fact, most of our engagements so far have been either in New York or in California, so both the coasts, and then sprinkling in like Chicago and.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Very good. And then I also wanted to announce that we're working on something together with HTDC, hopefully to take advantage.
Sure. So with HTDC, for instance, you know, we want to try to do workshops and give Hawaii businesses, small businesses, access to people that, you know, they will not normally be able to kind of, you know, access
Get
otherwise.
exposure to, yeah,
get exposure to
exactly.
otherwise. So, you know, people who are experts in, you know, in a particular industry or in just like.
And they
how
sound
to-
like world-class experts too.
Sure, definitely among the best in the country.
That's amazing. I think that'll be a great offering, and I'm excited. I'm excited that we can work together. Do you have any advice for somebody else that wants to start up a business? In Hawaii specifically?
Sure, you know, this is the kind of advice, you know, it's like for all kind of businesses, and most businesses here are small. Like I was talking earlier, you know, businesses think about solutions, either solving something internally or like hiring somebody permanent. And for as long as I have been here, and I've been here several years now, everybody has been complaining that, you know, there's not enough talent. When I talk to UH students, you know, where do you want to be after you graduate? They say they are going to, you know, go back to the mainland. So it's not like this problem is getting any easier. So all I kind of try to tell, you know, startups and other small businesses is they have to think creatively, how to solve their business problems.
Yes.
And maybe permanent hire solving, in a role, maybe that's not something which will work perfectly in Hawaii context. And we are like one of the options, but virtual teams is another option, and things like that.
Oh, great. Very good. And where do we find more information about Mentors Guild?
So you can go to mentorsguild.com. So it's mentorsguild.com.
Very easy. Very good. Thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you.
It's very good to learn about your company. Very exciting. So if you need some business consulting, check out mentorsguild.com. And my guest today has been Iqbal Ashraf, the founder of Mentors Guild. And this is High Growth with HTDC, and I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki, on ThinkTech Hawaii. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Here's the deal. I'm Jay Fidel. I'm the host of Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, which is the Energy Policy Forum's program on Wednesday. That's how we call Wednesday Energy Wednesday. We call it Energy Wednesday every Wednesday. Are you surprised? Okay, and we try to get guys like Jim Alberts here from Hawaiian Electric who can tell us what's really going on in energy. We want to be informed. It's so important. It's the most important initiative in our state. Clean energy is major, okay? And that's why we cover it on this show. That's the deal. What do you think, Sharon?
I think that's great. That's why we're here every Wednesday from 4 to 5, and we hope you all join us so we can hear people like Jim coming on our show and co-host Ray Starley from Hawaii Energy.
Okay, Jim, you've been here today. You've seen this. You heard what she said. What do you think?
I think it's a tremendous opportunity for people to come together and talk about the issues. Oftentimes, there isn't a good forum to bring these key issues out into the public, and this is a tremendous way to go about it. And the activity of this show is essential to keep talking about energy because, as you said, it's such an essential part of our lives that we need to pay attention to it and we need to think about the future.
Okay, Ray, your turn.
Well, this is a special time in the history of Hawaii where we're making some pretty radical changes in the way we use energy and generate energy. And this show is the one place you can count on coming to every Wednesday and hearing something about the latest issues that are on the table, being discussed, that will affect us all going forward. So come join us, and if you have some ideas you want to share with us about energy, give us a call and let us know. We'll put you up here and let you talk for an hour. So come see us.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, Jim. It's great to be, from ThinkTech's point of view, it's great to have this show. We love the show. It's our most important show. So come around and listen to us 4 to 5 on Wednesday. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Hi, aloha. My name is Chris Leatham, and I host a show called The Economy and You. The show plays every Wednesday at noon. And on my show, I bring on guests who are interested or working in the technology space. And so I'd like you to come and watch the show and learn with me about all the sort of exciting things that we're doing in Hawaii to build and grow our economy ecosystem. So I'd like to say aloha, and I look forward to seeing you on the show. Thank you.
Hi, I'm your host on ThinkTech Asia, Bill Sharp. I look forward to you joining us each Monday between 4 and 5 o'clock when we film right here in our studio in downtown Honolulu. The show, ThinkTech Asia, focuses on contemporary events in Asia. And by Asia, we mean anything from Hawaii, south to Australia and New Zealand, west to Pakistan, and as far north as the Russian Far East. Clearly, this is one of the most economically dynamic centers of the world, and we bring you up to date on what's going on in a whole host of countries in this very vital region. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha.
Oh, hi, welcome back. This is Cindy Matsuki, and this is High Growth with HTDC, and we're actually back, and I have other guests. So my guests today are John Smith, CTO of LiveAction, and Aaron Kagawa of LiveAction as well. What is your title at LiveAction?
I'm a senior software engineer.
Senior software, very good, excellent. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, so LiveAction is a super exciting, local and fast-growing company, and I think more people should definitely know about you guys. But let us know briefly, what is LiveAction? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so we make network performance management software. So, our customer base are like the Fortune 1000 type enterprises that want
Have
to
huge
manage.
networks?
Oh, yeah, they're huge, global, and it's really
Wow.
about managing their applications through their networks.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah, that's primarily focused on like the network side, but our customers are asking more from like the application perspective, so we're growing our capabilities as well.
What does that mean? Sorry. Maybe like what is
So,
it?
so typically a large corporation will have a large footprint in terms of like, having connectivity for all their users. So they want to make sure that the network runs well, and ideally it's the applications that are running on top of the network. And one of the things that we're seeing with our customers are, it's much more larger footprint where they want it running at home, they want it running out of the
Wow.
office and everywhere. So it kind of
So they
ties
always
in.
want to be connected to their
everywhere.
their staff.
Yeah, and it's kind of that whole cloud mobile shift that's been
Oh.
happening over the last 10 plus years.
Oh, interesting. So there's been a lot of discussion recently about broadband in Hawaii, and HTDC, we've been following Bill SB 887 that kind of defines industrial park to include broadband cable landing and connectivity infrastructure facility development in Hawaii. So as a Hawaii-grown tech company, what does broadband mean to you? And what does that mean to you to bring in more cable landing sites?
I mean, I think you can never have enough bandwidth, so I think that's really important. And I think even for us, just from being able to have the option for high-speed connectivity is pretty critical. But I mean, just for businesses with the cloud mobile transition, and a lot of our companies, our customers, they rely so much on cloud-based applications, SaaS applications like Salesforce, that if they don't have that broadband connectivity, a lot of times they just can't do business.
Wow.
So it's actually becoming much more critical.
Wow. And so it's critical for your business, but for the businesses you support as well.
Yeah, so I think the broadband, and we're seeing this big shift where in the past companies would actually buy lease lines and other types of services to connect all their sites. But what we're seeing is everybody is actually going more towards leveraging broadband and internet because it's an order of magnitude cheaper at certain points. So we see the shift where companies are relying on a hybrid connection where sometimes they would rely on broadband connections or straight internet, and sometimes they would rely more on the lease lines for like critical applications. But in the biggest sense, it's like they want connectivity everywhere. So if they have their employees working at Starbucks, they still want that access working at home or at the office. So the footprint of these corporations are just growing, and it's really broadband that's allowing that.
It's not just companies that do business, it's educational facilities, it's schools, it's utility companies, it's all these people or organizations that are shifting their use of the internet to SaaS approaches. So if we have better connectivity, that helps health companies, that helps educational facilities, schools, that helps a wide variety of different things. So it's not just doing business and selling things, there's a whole other amounts of benefits to that as well.
And I feel like with the applications now, the content is actually getting bigger and bigger as well.
Yeah.
So it actually requires an even bigger
Like we've actually seen with some of the educational customers that they rely almost totally on like SaaS-based cloud applications for their testing, for some of their like textbooks and other information. So if they don't have that connectivity, they really can't run some of their schools.
Wow.
And like education seems to be ones that adopt SaaS quite a bit. Although I guess I saw some statistics like the average enterprise is going to see something in between like 50 to 60 SaaS applications that's going to be supporting an enterprise. So
Wow.
I mean we've seen the cloud mobile transition happening, but it's really picking up to the point where people feel there's enough reliability that they can rely on their operations being in the cloud more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's dependent on.
Yeah, and from a Hawaii perspective, the more connections you have, the more reliable things will be for us as well. So I think that's pretty important.
Wow. So if you could project out, say 10 years from now, How do you see bandwidth affecting Hawaii?
I think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg in bandwidth usage. So, like we work closely with Cisco, and they have projections on, internet traffic use. And the biggest thing is going to be video, if it hasn't already happened with YouTube, streaming,
Definitely.
HD, Vine, everything. So it's just the issue with video is just consumes so much more bandwidth than other forms of communication we had. So when you factor that in, we're going to need a lot more bandwidth capabilities. But other than that, there's also things like drones, the Internet of Things. There's going to be much more connectivity between different things that we have around the house, around our
Everything's going
environment.
to start talking to everything.
Yeah, and it's all going to be about communication and making sure everything can talk to each other. So.
Oh.
So yeah, we've been working on this for like 10 plus years now, and so we've seen the internet speeds of what we have to support as a company just grow and grow and grow, and the problems that we were solving 10 years ago is nothing compared to what we're dealing with now. And if we're talking about 10 years in the future, it's just going to be really something that we can't even predict. And so if we're not prepared, if we don't start forward thinking, I guess it's gonna kind of be hard for us as a state, I guess, if that's what we're talking about. So, we've already seen it as a company, a network company.
Have you already been affected by any issues being in Hawaii, being a Hawaii company? But I know you guys have also people elsewhere, and you do national and international business.
Right. I think we have been to some extent. Like we rely on SaaS-based applications for our day-to-day operations. So when that goes down, we have no email, for example. So having more connectivity is important. But I think from our customer perspective, we do have some global customers, and they are relying more on broadband to connect like thousands of sites that they have. So it's not only the cloud-based applications, but site-to-site communication becomes important. And just to the point that Aaron made, like a few years ago, we had people complaining about like a gig interface speed, and now we're getting complaints about 10 gig, 40 gig speeds, and we have to adjust our software to make sure we can measure at that speed too. So the equipment vendors know it, and they're selling faster and faster speeds.
Can you give us a comparison about Hawaii's bandwidth versus, say, when you travel abroad? Like, what do your customers experience, or what do you guys experience?
Okay. So our offices are, at Lagoon Drive, so we have very limited bandwidth. So when I compare what we have compared to, somewhere on the mainland, it's like night and day difference. So just from our experience, we need to have much more, coverage in terms of like broadband for sure. So our main office is actually in Santa Clara, and we have pretty good connectivity. But some of our customers, when they go to some of the remote sites, it's very limited. And we also worked with the Navy before, and they have very limited, broadband at some points, although they're upgrading all the time. So.
That would be a huge customer.
Yep.
Of broadband. Interesting. As far as going international, how does that compare as well?
So for international, I think the same things apply. Like we have some customers that have like manufacturing overseas, and I think it's a little bit of a challenge for them. Like every market, getting broadband services is somewhat different. So for them to be able to manage that is becoming easier and also harder, I guess, as technologies merge towards more Metro Ethernet, for example. The hookups become easier, but I guess some countries have better broadband, like South Korea obviously has really good broadband. From the travels that we've done in Tokyo, they seem to have pretty good as well. Europe, I think, is pretty good as well. So I think compared to internationally, I think depending on where you are, and maybe in Hawaii, we can do better, I think.
And so you've been to South Korea, so you've seen what does that do for the country?
Well, I know they do a lot of gaming, and they seem to be pretty good at gaming. So, so my son watches all the online gaming, and they seem to be dominating. So maybe the broadband makes a difference. I'm not sure, but I know for technology purposes, it does really help. I mean, it's hard for us to run a technology company if you don't have good broadband.
And it sounds, I mean, just from our conversation, it sounds like there's so much that people take for granted that is running on broadband. Just just the simple things, like being at a coffee shop and being able to work. You don't think about what you need and how much speed you're using and the broadband.
Right.
Interesting. We are going to take a quick break. This is High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki, and my guests today are John Smith and Aaron Kagawa from LiveAction. We'll be right back.
Aloha, my name is Paul Jackson, better known as PJ, and my local interest is in sports. I have my own sports radio show at KWAI AM 1080 that you can stream live. I also have my own website, pjsportsradio.com. We have live guests in studio, and we talk about discussions and topics that everyone wants to know locally here on the islands. We cover everything from surfing to basketball to whatever's going on locally, sports-wise. We try to do our best and cover the topics in depth as much as we can. Once again, thank you for joining PJ here on Hawaii Sports Update. Mahalo.
Hi, welcome back. This is High Growth with HTDC, and I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki. And today we are talking all things broadband with John Smith and Aaron Kagawa of LiveAction. And there's so many things going on. So we had kind of mentioned how LiveAction manages quality of service as well, and that is affected by broadband too.
Right.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to add into the conversation is that there's, I guess, two components: your connectivity, the amount of bandwidth that you have available to you, and also the quality of service that you can provide on your network. And so just because you have a bigger pipe doesn't necessarily always mean that you're going to have the best quality of service that you're providing to your users. And that's where a company like LiveAction comes to play. We help companies and organizations make sure that they're using their bandwidth appropriately and to the highest performance that they can possibly have. And of course, if you have a larger pipe, then it's easier to navigate. But if LiveAction helps companies manage their bandwidth usages across different types of applications, across many different sites, across many different devices. And so we see kind of two things: where broadband growing and also managing the bandwidth that you have. And that's kind of what LiveAction does.
How? I mean, I thought, whatever apps you're using, how do you manage to get more out of it?
So it's networking and connectivity is very, very complex, and what we try to do at LiveAction is make that simple.
It was third grade.
Right, and so a typical company will have their own internal network, and they'll have a service provider that's providing that connectivity to the outside world, and then they're using applications like Google Apps, Gmail, or Google Docs, and along that path, there's problems that could happen in different areas. It could be your network, it could be the service provider, it could be Google itself. And what LiveAction tries to do is kind of understand these different areas to provide you with insights on what you can do to fix it. And adding more bandwidth and different capabilities, connect different service providers allows you to kind of balance that and minimize your risks. And there's a whole bunch of things that we're doing with IWAN to allow large corporations to save lots of money by not having to pay lots and lots of money for service providers. And that comes into play with having better connections, broadband access, so companies don't have to pay for these dedicated lines. They can actually leverage the internet for some of the services.
That's great, and that's something LiveAction is providing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds almost like consulting, but
so
within the network.
Yeah, we're providing tools so that we can leverage Cisco's ability to do that, so that our companies can better utilize internet connections.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
very good.
So a lot of our customers have Cisco gear that's capable of providing better quality of service, but they just have a hard time, and our software kind of helps that. But I think another issue that we're seeing is that their employees, our customers' employees, want to work everywhere. So the footprint of the IT department becomes a lot larger, whether it's at home or at Starbucks, and they're looking to us to help understand this network. And some of it is out of their control, right? At Starbucks, the Starbucks Wi-Fi is really not something that they can fix. But they still want to understand, what is the quality of experience when you have a tablet at Starbucks and you're trying to do your work. So we're looking to help our customers, get that kind of visibility so they can make choices on how to actually fix some of these issues.
So LiveAction's service can actually look into that? As
Yeah,
part of-
we're working on different technologies to help you do that.
Wow.
And some of it is built into the actual routers and switches, so they can actually peer into the network and do measurements, so they can understand, is it the server side that's having the problem, or is it your client side that's having the problem? And then you can start making decisions of how to troubleshoot. And are you the only one seeing it, or are other offices seeing it? And that kind of helps you narrow down what the issue is. So sometimes a service provider goes out, and then a bunch of your customers or employees get affected. But sometimes it might be isolated. So doing that kind of troubleshooting is pretty important for them too.
Wow, that is interesting. I know the last time we had talked, you were going great guns. Congratulations. How are things going now?
Yeah, I think since the last time we met, we did get a Series A funding. So that was
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we had Cisco Ventures invest in us, and another venture firm called AITV who invests in IT companies. So they're out of San Diego and also from the Bay Area. So we got a little bit over $5 million invested as a Series A. So that really helped us.
That's great.
Yeah. and our offices, our main office was in Palo Alto, but we recently just moved to the Santa Clara office. So our engineering is still in Honolulu. So all our engineers are here, but
That's
all the
great.
admin, sales, marketing is out of Santa Clara.
So are you guys growing?
Yep, definitely growing. So might have even doubled by the time we've talked with you last. So it's been pretty good.
That's awesome. Are
and-
you guys hiring in Hawaii? I have to ask.
We're always looking, definitely. So, any talented, Java, and I guess we do Scala, but I think Aaron can talk more to.
Who are you looking
yeah,
for?
we're looking for Java and Scala developers. We're also doing front-end JavaScript front-end work, and currently we're looking for interns. So we were just at
Did
the
you hear that, everybody? Interns.
the UH Career Fair, the Engineering Career Fair. We got a whole bunch of applicants. It's always a really competitive thing. I've written blogs about our internship program.
I hear it's awesome.
It is awesome. we had kids from MIT. We had kids from USC.
That's great.
Some of our guys works at Amazon now. Another works at Microsoft. And they all say that our internship is really good. And basically, it's because we just make them do our work. No, I'm just joking. But we add them to a very important part of our team. They learn how to code. They learn how to develop. Some of the features that we have in LiveAction, some of the coolest ones are actually done by interns.
Have you been able to keep any of them?
Yeah, we have.
Great.
So we've kept a few of our interns and brought them on as full-time employees.
That's
so
awesome.
we're hiring definitely for our internship right now. It's really competitive. But in a few months, we're hopefully opening up full-time positions as well. We're going to start looking for full-time engineers too. And so, yeah, things are going well.
Yeah.
That is really exciting. I'm so excited that you guys are a homegrown company.
I don't know if everybody, I've been working on the product for 9 years?
Yeah, for a long time.
For a long time now. And so it's awesome to be where we're at now.
And you guys are a spin-off from another Hawaii company,
Yeah.
right?
So we're a spin-off from a Department of Defense Research and Development company. We spun off about 4 years ago, and all of us kind of came on board a couple of years ago, and it's going well. It's a pretty successful success story in terms of Hawaii tech companies. Yeah.
That's great. We need to do like a case study with you guys. That would be great. We're going to do that. It's been great talking to you guys. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights into the whole bandwidth situation.
Oh, thanks for asking.
Yeah, great. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. This is High Growth with HTDC, and my guests today have been John Smith and Aaron Kagawa of LiveAction, all about broadband. And thank you for tuning in to us, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Hey.